Mr. Chairman, today we are here to once again discuss a tragedy and a bill bearing another name of a victim of an illegal alien crime, the Kayla Hamilton Act, named after 20-year-old Kayla Marie Hamilton. A little more than 3 years ago, on July 27, 2022, Kayla Hamilton was violently attacked and murdered in her home in Aberdeen, Maryland. During the attack, Kayla tried to call her boyfriend to help her and ended up leaving a haunting voicemail recording the struggle. Her boyfriend later found her strangled to death, not breathing, her iPhone cord wrapped tightly around her neck. Authorities later determined Kayla had also been sexually assaulted. Before leaving her lifeless body, her assailant robbed her of the $6 cash that she had that was in her purse. Tragically, Kayla's horrific murder was entirely preventable. Kayla's murderer, Walter Javier Martinez, was a 16-year-old Salvadoran national. Martinez had been encountered in March of 2022 by U.S. Customs and Border Patrol officials at the southwest border during the Biden-Harris administration. He even admitted to authorities that members of his family paid $4,000 to a so-called guide, to smuggle him from El Salvador to the United States border. As is required by law with most unaccompanied alien children, Walter was transferred to the custody of the Office of Refugee Resettlement at HHS. Rather than determining whether Martinez posed any threat to himself, to others, or the community, the Biden-Harris HHS promptly placed Walter with a sponsor, purportedly his first cousin, although that's in dispute. He ran away from her home just 1 month after settlement, and his sponsor later told ORR that Martinez left because he wanted to, quote, do what he was doing in his home country, get in trouble on the streets and hang out with gang members. Only after Kayla's murder did any government official even attempt to find out whether Martinez had a criminal history. The local police learned from the Salvadoran authorities that Martinez was an MS-13 gang member with a 2020 arrest record for illicit association with the violent gang. Martinez's HHS case file, reviewed by the Judiciary Committee, also revealed that he had gang tattoos. Why did no federal official try to determine the criminal history of a 16-year-old Salvadoran national entering the U.S. illegally? Because the Biden-Harris administration didn't care to. Instead, the Secretary of HHS, Javier Becerra, cared only about moving hundreds of thousands of UACs out of HHS custody as quickly as possible. As the New York Times reported, Becerra pressured HHS employees to expedite UAC processing and placement, saying, quote, if Henry Ford had seen this in his plants, he would have never become famous and rich. This is not the way to do an assembly line. Because of this careless approach, necessary checks about Martinez's background and potential affiliation with MS-13 were never performed. Incredibly, Biden-Harris ORR officials were in regular contact with the home countries of the UACs for reasons not associated with their criminal history. In a 2023 transcribed interview with the committee, the director of ORR admitted that while it was commonplace for HHS to contact the consulate or embassy of the UAC's home country to verify certain documents like birth certificates, under the Biden-Harris administration, HHS was not asked those same countries about whether UACs had any relevant criminal history. In Martinez's case, just one phone call would have made all of the difference. Brazen criminal that he is, Martinez wrote a letter from prison admitting to 4 murders, 2 rapes, countless thefts, and other crimes. In August of last year, justice was served when Martinez was convicted of Kayla's murder and sentenced to 70 years in prison. Criminal organizations, cartels, and gangs have for years exploited the vulnerabilities of the UAC program, cracks that were only widened by the destructive policies put forth over the last 4 years. Indeed, the case of Walter Javier Martinez is not isolated, but part of a larger disturbing pattern. Just a few months ago in April, right outside of my district in Lancaster, South Carolina, a woman named Larisha Sherelle Thompson, a mother of 2, was murdered. Ms. Thompson was on her way to a birthday party when 6 illegal aliens schemed to rob her vehicle. 3 of these individuals, a 13-year-old, a 14-year-old, and a 15-year-old, entered the U.S. as UACs. Horrifically, these criminal aliens randomly targeted Ms. Thompson, surrounded her car, and shot her to death for no reason at all. UACs who have committed murder and other horrific crimes once in the U.S. are not uncommon. In 2016, Iowa nursing school graduate Sarah Root was murdered by a UAC. In 2021, a UAC in Florida murdered his sponsor. In 2023, a UAC in Texas sexually assaulted and murdered a 10-year-old girl. On August 15th, 2025, just this year, ICE apprehended a former UAC wanted in Honduras for illegal possession of a firearm and drug trafficking. Days later, on August 18th in Virginia, a former UAC was arrested for aggravated sexual battery on a victim under the age of 13. The UAC was indeed, since February of this year, at least 6,600 former UACs have been rearrested by ICE for engaging in criminal conduct, including serious and violent criminal offenses. Time and time again, we see that there are dangerous and violent individuals who are spending time in HHS custody among the truly innocent children HHS is entrusted to protect. At the same time, we have also seen failures in the vetting of sponsors exposed over the last 4 years, as record high numbers of UACs are encountered at the border and transferred into HHS custody. The Biden-Harris administration rushed UACs out the door without waiting for the results of potential sponsors' background checks. In some cases, HHS failed to even initiate the required background checks in the first place. Under President Biden and Secretary Becerra, HHS ended the practice of performing background checks on all adult residents of potential sponsors' households, allowing children to potentially be placed in homes where criminals lived, as long as those adults themselves were not listed as the sponsor. With longstanding best practices in the UAC placement process stripped away, it is no wonder that the last administration lost track of so many UACs. Many have ended up exploited by criminals or working in dangerous conditions that children are legally prohibited from performing. For example, in July of this year, at least 8 UACs were found during a worksite raid on a California marijuana facility. Former UACs have also been found working on kill floors in meatpacking plants, operating giant ovens to make Chewy or Nature Valor granola bars, or packing bags of cereal. The Trump administration has committed to locating as many of these UACs as it can, although many have aged out and are no longer minors. Thus far, the Trump administration has found nearly 23,000 of the UACs, more than 400 sponsors have been arrested, and 27 of the minors have been found dead, either by murder, suicide, or drug overdose. The evidence is clear. The Biden-Harris administration's policies incentivized the trafficking, smuggling, and exploitation of children while simultaneously endangering American communities, with foreign national gang members taking advantage of the Democrats' insane border policies. The Trump administration is committed to protecting children and bringing children traffickers, gang members, and bad actors to justice, and the USC placement process is not functioning as intended, and it is ripe for reform. That's what brings us here today. The Kayla Hamilton Act will ensure that American communities and UACs alike are protected. Some of the provisions I will describe will be added to the base text of the bill through an amendment in the nature of a substitute. This legislation will require all UACs to be assessed not only to ensure that the child is protected from exploitation, but also to determine if the child presents a flight risk, has a criminal history, or presents danger to themselves or others. For those UACs 12 years of age or older, HHS will also conduct a screening for gang affiliation, including assessing the UAC for any relevant gang-related criminal history or gang tattoos. If HHS had conducted such a screening in Walter Javier Martinez's case, Kayla might be alive today. Thankfully, because of the funds appropriated in the reconciliation bill, the Trump administration is already ensuring these checks are being performed, utilizing HSI investigators who are trained to interview children. Additionally, under this legislation, if the checks performed reveal that a UAC 12 years of age or older satisfies certain factors, like having a gang tattoo, criminal history related to gang activity or affiliation, or an aggravated felony, the UAC will be placed in a secure facility while his or her immigration proceeding plays out in court. Secure facilities are designed to house children who are a danger to themselves or to others. H.R. 4371 will also ensure that UACs are protected from those who wish to exploit them. This legislation closes the loophole in current law that allows illegal aliens to sponsor UACs. The bill also includes common sense reforms that bar UACs from being placed with criminals convicted of serious crimes. Finally, the bill ensures that HHS conducts thorough background checks of UAC sponsors, that UACs will not be placed with a sponsor until HHS actually receives the results of the required background checks, like sex offender checks and FBI national criminal history checks based on fingerprints. Waiting for a background check results before placing a child with an unknown sponsor is simply common sense. I urge my colleagues to support this important legislation. Let's honor Kayla's memory and take seriously the problem of criminal alien UACs victimizing our citizens. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. The ranking member is recognized for an opening statement.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thanks to Mr. Fry for bringing his legislation forward.